Without further ado, let us begin the tale of Sir Bremen and how he came to Saren's Gate, where we will be beginning when we actually go live in a little while. So, Sir Bremen Meade, you are a level 1 fighter. If you do us a favor and describe yourself physically, tell us hair color, eye color, that sort of thing, and tell us how you got to now. You are where we will start. You are in a tavern in a small town called, one moment, I have it written down here, Azendale. And Azendale has been asking for help with goblins, and you've blooded your sword a couple of times with these goblins, and you've returned to this tavern to collect your reward. So, tell us about how you got here in the first place.
I am Sir Bremen Meade. I am a noble from a landed family to the east in the Cornucopia Plains. I'm somewhere in my late 20s, about 5'9", brown eyes, slightly tan skin, dark hair, and apparently I look something like a JoJo. I have been told this many times.
And I will, for stuff like that, I'll try and pull the art and put it up in the recording so people can see.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. So I'm a human, and humans of my family have a bit of a tradition. See, we typically train ourselves as knights and warriors to be ready for battle in case battle ever happens, which, as I understand, it has not in quite some time. So, still can't stop the force of tradition, so each male heir of the family trains for knighthood, goes out as a knight-errant, and slays a few monsters to prove themselves as a hero to the people, after which point they come back and inherit. So, I believe I'm still in my errantry at this point. Greg, would you say?
Yes, indeed. It's pretty much near the beginning of it. And it's as you're being handed your sack of 25 gold that you begin with, that the door to this tavern bursts down, and in spill 3 lycanthropic humanoids. They stand at about 6.5 feet tall, and all 3 of them are covered with matted gray fur, and they tear into each and every person and just slaughter the peasants that are sitting around making merry and drinking. It's wanton, and they're on top of you before you can even put the gold in your pocket.
Oh dear. Do I have my arms on hand at all?
You do. And I'm gonna railroad just a little bit here.
Go right ahead.
As the 3 werewolves decimate everyone else in the room, one lands on you, and you struggle for a very long time to get it off of you, and it's clawing at you nonstop.
Still wearing armor.
Yes, absolutely. And it's not really able to find a whole lot of purchase. It is getting a couple of scrapes and scratches in there, but it hasn't landed any bites. The other 2 werewolves stand on either side of the door and appear to be watching. You go to push this werewolf off of you with your sword, with the flat of your blade, and as the sharpened edge of it runs across the werewolf's chest, you watch the wound open and shut before your eyes, almost faster than you can blink. It seems to be completely immune to anything you can do for it. When a glint catches your eye to your right, it's a butter knife, but it's silver. This is a nice tavern. You grab it, and with a deft upward swing, jam the thing up through the bottom of its jaw, and the thing's body goes limp on top of you. The other 2 werewolves turn and bolt out the door. You are at 1 hit point from the struggle. What do you do?
Well, first of all, I'm getting this fat lump off me.
Yes, make a strength check, please.
Thank you. Let's see here. And for the record, I am taking it easy on you tonight. I am starting with my weakest dice set, which are the green meanies.
All right.
As things progress, we will see just how rough I'm going to have to get with you. All right, rolling strength check. All right, 15 plus 3, that will be an 18 result.
Yes, more than enough. You lift the corpse of the werewolf off of you and push it onto the floor. Around you is about 2 inches of blood on the floor and 15 dead people.
Okay, okay. 1 hit point. I think at this point it would be prudent to bar the door.
The door is off of its hinges. So what would you like to do with that?
There's tables about the room, aren't there?
Indeed. So you prop the door back up and start moving tables to close it against the outside, I take it?
Sure, yes.
All right. Let's see. Go ahead and make one more strength check for me.
Very well. And, rolling so kind of good tonight. Another 15 plus 3 makes a 18 result.
Nice, very nice. You are able to get all of the tables up against the door, and you feel that it is very sturdily blocked. You know this to be the only entrance and exit to this little tavern, which is why it was such a quick slaughter. They had nowhere to go. You glance
Poor
out
bastards.
the window and make a perception check for me.
All right. A little less than this one. 11 plus 3 on my perception, so 14.
Okay. 14's enough for you to see. The two werewolves have split in either direction, and there are 2 more doors that have been burst down. One person runs screaming from inside. It's a woman. It's covered in flowers, is apparently the baker's. And the werewolf that had been in that building suddenly bursts out the window and pounces on top of her, landing a bite across her shoulder and neck.
I suddenly feel my choice of barricading is perhaps inappropriate given my... Oh, man.
There are all sorts of bottles across the bar top.
What would it take for me to possibly stuff a rag in one, light it on fire, and check it out the window?
We'll call that your action. We're not really in an initiative, but it would take next to nothing. You're able to easily find all of that. And you want to chuck it out the window are you waiting for a target, or are you just kind of chucking it into the street?
I'm gonna see if I can chuck it into the street just to get some, get their attention. I'm well barricaded, so if they, attempt to move on me, that's less villagers who will possibly be slaughtered, who might have more time to escape.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Since you're not aiming it at anything, you're able to chuck it out the window. It goes up with a and you do see a couple of the werewolves. I say a couple of them because as you look out the windows, you see there are more. Some of them white and just covered in mud, some of them black, just all colors. This pack must be 10, 20 wolves at least. It's hard to tell because they're moving quickly. And,
Come on, you mangy dogs! I've got a butter knife and I'm not afraid to use it!
a couple of them stop and turn and look at you, and then look at each other, and you hear over the screams of the villagers, you hear them grunting and growling at each other, and then something that sounds like growling laughter as they all turn away from the fire and head to other targets.
I am definitely beginning to reassess my desire for safety.
The door, as you're looking down, like, to the right, away from the door, behind you, to your left, just 2 feet, the door and all of the tables behind it slowly push open. And right now you're just looking at the back side of your closed, barricaded door.
Oh dear. I'm still at 1 hit point, huh?
Correct.
So, still bleeding. Can't take a whole lot of hits. Alright, best I could probably do in this case is arm myself. I should have a sword and a shield.
You do, indeed.
Well aware that, the butter knife is probably going to be what gets me any kills, so we're going to keep that in our teeth.
Sure.
Which will probably be necessary. And shout through clenched teeth, friend or foe?
Family. And as the door shuts, there's a man standing there that you do not recognize. You've never seen him before in your life. And he's wearing what can only be described as a tent.
A what?
It's a tent of black fur. This cloak that is over his shoulders and trailing behind him is just massive. You've never seen a cloak this size before. And he stands at about 6 feet tall. He's got mutton chops and long, straight, dark brown hair. And he's got eyes that look like ice chips. And he's wearing a bastard sword on his hip that has a wolf's paw in the pommel. And he turns and looks at you. And he says, "You killed one of my kids."
You should have taught them better manners.
A knight. Now there's something I don't have in my collection yet. And he takes a step towards you.
And we'll have a hard time collecting on, sir.
You're probably right. I don't like family that gives in too easily. They end up being weak. Much like the one you just killed. And he just motions over and you look, and there's a skinny dude laying on his back with a butter knife sticking out of his chin. And the blood just...
Oh, darn, I didn't get the knife.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. With your knife mark, because you did say you had the knife. You had that in your teeth.
Oh, thank goodness. Okay.
You have the knife.
Okay,
but yeah, the lycanthropic body has shifted back. And he's just, that dude is laying there dripping onto the floor. I'm searching through my art here, and I do not see my drawing of this gentleman, so we'll have to wait until later for me to find that. But he tilts his head and looks at you and says, "What's your name?"
Sir Bremen of the House Meade, sir.
I, too, was a noble once. I wonder if your histories go far enough back. Tell me, what stories have you heard about the dead North? And you may make a history check.
Thank you. Alright. Thank goodness I've got +2 in history. And a crummy roll on this one. 3 plus 2 on this one. Unfortunately, I come up with a 5.
All you know about the dead North is that there was a great noble human household there at one point, and some terrible calamity befell it, and nobody lives there anymore. It's an entire continent, like northern half of a continent that nobody will go to anymore. No walls or fancy anythings. It was just a normal human kingdom across the sea, far to the northwest. But that's all that you know.
All right. So, let's see. What do you know about the Dead North? Aren't those the sort of stories that wet nurses used to scare children with?
You know, I thought the same thing. Or at least, I suppose I would have, if I wasn't from there. You'll learn in time. So, Bremen, why did you leave your home? It's not a crest I recognize from this part of the continent.
Well, you see, my family has a particular fondness for slaying monsters like you, I presume, sir, and your small family outside, who I can't help but consider uncouth for dropping in so unannounced and slaughtering far too many people for one evening's sport.
His grin seems to get wider and wider as you speak, but he listens until you finish. And there's something canine about this grin. There's no mistaking. As he begins to speak, his face contorts, and you hear cracking. It's quiet at first, but it gets louder as the bones in his face break and reform and push outward into not a full jaw like you've seen on these others, something between human and a full jaw. And he grabs you by your lapel and pulls you forward and says, "You cost me one of my small pack, as you said. But I'm certain you'll make up the deficit." And he bites into your shoulder. Make a Constitution saving throw, please.
Oh, no! Why? Why? Oh my. Alright, so a 19 on the roll, plus 5 on that one.
Excellent. You drop to 0 hit points, as he does significant piercing damage to you, and you resist the curse that you can feel pouring out of this bite. It's like someone pouring iodine onto an unnumbed wound.
Oh, ow, owie.
And he goes, "Good, good." Your blood just dripping from this maw. "Good. Strength is what I was looking for." And he turns you like a rag doll, just turns you on your side, picks you up by your knee, and sinks his teeth through your armor, through your chainmail, into your rib cage. And you black out. Time jump.
Whee!
The next night.
In the future.
The moon is up. You're in a room, but none of the details about it or how you got there matter to you. Only her. Only her eye, ever watchful, even if unseen. Through the window you can see her. You note you'd never noticed her majesty before. Sure, like any other noble, you'd learned of her phases and supposed pulls at the strings of magic, but you'd never felt them before. Piercing through you at every entrance of a tooth from before, weaving between them all and pulling tight, pulling you in. Your sternum shatters in a zigzag and all of your ribs rip up through your skin like outstretched fingers. You scream, the last human sound to come from you, as the rest of your skeleton comes apart inside of you and begins to stretch and grow. The pain is inescapable and intense, like nothing you felt before, as the final cracks settle into silence, as the unmistakable feeling of hot blood on your skin pulls you down from the pain. Your spine arching against the cot, your legs bent the wrong way and far, far too long, but none of that matters anymore as warmth envelops you. Muscles build and rope themselves across your new frame, slicking down with skin and finally black as midnight fur. You roll from the cot, no longer in pain, but filled with the need to run, to chase something, to hunt, to eat. Your eyes burn red as you remember the old crone who had been tending to your wounds, and she's nowhere to be seen, but the door is open and rattling in the spring wind. What do you do?
Run.
You do. Now I need you to make a perception check with advantage.
Okay. Oh, I need to pull out some more dice for that. Just had the one set because I was taking it easy on you.
Mm-hmm.
Alright. Pull out the crystal clear for this one. Alright. Rolling with advantage. Ooh. Not great rolls in either case. Perception, you say?
Yes, please.
Comes to a 10.
Okay. You do not immediately pick up the scent of this crone, though you can smell it on the ground and all around this hut that you've run out of. You are in woods that are unfamiliar to you. You have no idea where you are, but of course none of that matters. As you lift your nose to the wind and you sniff, downwind or upwind from you, you can smell an entire herd of deer. You can hear their hearts beating. They're calm.
Suppose I don't have much of a choice but to let instinct take over there.
Mm-hmm. You bolt into the wind, silent as a shadow, darting in between the trees, and you come upon the clearing in a matter of seconds, and you are on the biggest buck before any of them can even scream. As you take the buck down and begin to feed, the rest of the deer scatter. And you don't remember much else after that. One moment.
I hope
2
everyone
months.
at home is enjoying all this.
2 months pass. The next full moon is tonight. You've lost track of time and you thought you had an extra day. You've managed to ingratiate yourself with an innkeep in this town who's unaware of your affliction. You're beginning to feel the moon's pull again, an aching in the bite wound you woke with 2 months ago. You've managed to avoid biting a humanoid so far, but you've also learned that to do so would complete the circle in full, and your curse would be permanent, unbreakable by any known means. The apothecary in this town is a useless asshole. You know he has Wolfsbane, but he's charging exorbitant prices for it, and you're also afraid to ask for it specifically for fear of drawing attention to yourself. But if he has Wolfsbane, you know he's got books too. You've seen them. The dude is up whenever the sun is up, and you know that if you had to access that, you'd have to steal it from him. This is a tiny, tiny village, like a hamlet. There's a smith, there's an innkeep, and there's an apothecary, and that's about it. So,
Oh dear.
It's about 2 p.m. You have roughly 8 hours until moonrise. What would you like to do?
Is there a stable in this town?
The inn has a very small stable, and there is a young stable boy named Jack that works there.
All right. I think it would probably be prudent to check and see if there are any horses in the stable.
There are currently one, the innkeep's horse.
Okay. Well, if anything else goes wrong, I can at least try to steal that and get out of here.
Okay. Yeah, you know that you've kind of found yourself stranded here. You know that basically when you realize tonight was the full moon, you're too close to settlement to be far enough away to be safe. You know there are places you could go to isolate yourself, but as far as containing yourself, you don't have the means to do so yet.
Yeah. So, all right. Will Wolfsbane actually prevent transformation?
You have heard that Wolfsbane in a concoction with something else will not prevent transformation, but will allow you to keep your mind.
Well, that may be the difference between somebody's life.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's absolutely critical that I get that. Say, boy.
Yes, sir.
Come over here real quick.
And he just kind of walks over to you with his hay bale fork. Thank you, pitchfork. That one. That's the one.
Yes,
I are
pitchfork.
bard. I word good.
Torches and pitchforks. I am probably going to get very used to the sight of these.
Yeah. So
How
he'll walk up
well
to you. Yes, sir. How can I help you?
how well do you know your friend apothecary down the lane there?
Oh, he's just such an asshole. I had to go to him one time for the bit of the blister wart I caught at a brothel a few towns over,
Ooh.
and um, he like it took me 2 weeks pay to pay for that ointment.
Ooh.
Ridiculous.
And he
Other
sits there
towns,
getting.
if I'd bought it when I was in town where the brothel was, it'd only been a couple of copper, but he wanted like 2 silver for it. It was ridiculous.
Gets fat and happy while you're itching your ass off.
Exactly, exactly.
Mm. Well, see, I've got a bit of a problem myself. See, I've got a got a bit of an infection on one of my feet,
Oh
and
yeah.
yeah, yeah, and see, I need something out of his shop. The man actually looked me in the eye and told me he wasn't going to sell it to me. He decided that, just because I was actually born with a roof over my head, I'm obviously not worth his time. He likes seeing me squirm, I think.
If the whole divide between rich and poor, and yeah.
Look,
So what
look.
can I do to help you? I mean, he's an
Oh, you.
asshole, yeah, but
I mean, shit. Why not stick it to the man, right?
yeah, exactly.
Look, here's the thing. How about I give you a couple of coins? You maybe poke around in there, see if you can find what I'm looking for, and maybe just trash the place while I, keep him distracted for you. How about that?
That sounds pretty risky. It's a small town. I mean, what if I get caught?
Well,
We don't do stocks or anything here. They'll just hang me in the gallows for hang me off the gallows tree for stealing.
I could use a squire. I'm a, I'm an anointed knight boy, and I
He
could
just
use
kind
a
of
friend.
folds his arms and then he looks you up and down. He looks at your chainmail and he looks at your standard and he's. I don't know anything about squiring though.
Well, can you saddle a horse?
Well, yeah.
Can you uh, carry a load?
He's like, I pitch hay bales up on top of the stack all the time. He points. It's like a 15, 20 foot high stack.
Right, jeez. Can you read? Can you write?
No.
Well, that's hardly a deterrent. Frankly, I know quite a few knights who won't even do that if they can help it.
I thought you noble types all had to read.
No, nonsense. Look, let me tell
Hmm.
you. Uh, there's this man, Lord Sunningdale, and I swear, this man has no class whatsoever. I mean, he hasn't. He hasn't even looked at a book except to decide if he wanted to eat it in the past 20 years.
He laughs at that.
So really, I mean, the the rest could be taught anyway. I mean, if you want to
Are
learn
you
to read, you.
are you
Hmm?
skipping town after this? Are we leaving?
I I think I might have to. I mean, you know, if it suddenly comes out that I don't need his services anymore, there's probably going to be questions asked. I mean, why not? Travel with me on the road. I'll show you a thing or two, and I'll start training you up as a knight yourself. You might even be able to make your name as a sellsword in town.
It's better than
Get
pitching hay. All right,
get you
all
on the
right.
get you on the fast track to an actual meal.
Go inside to the innkeep. It's gonna cost you like a gold, but get one of those bottles of wine and bring it to me, and I'll go take it to the apothecary and make sure he's good and asleep for tonight.
All right.
And he'll just,
That worked better than I thought it was going to.
yeah. I mean, you found the one kid that wants out. So he goes and he goes back to his work, messes with the hay and brushes the horse down. You buy your bottle of wine without any issue. Kid takes it, delivers it to the apothecary. You're not sure what words he spins, but You watch, because again, small hamlet. You watch as the
Yeah.
apothecary sitting in his front stall uncorks the thing and just glugs it straight from the bottle. No class to this guy whatsoever. Um, he gets drunk and he's sitting there and he pulls out a book. He's this little gnome with a double curled mustache, and he pulls out a book and he's flipping through it. And he looks at it and he hiccups and he pulls out this big long brown tawny feather and a pearl, and he pours the wine into a glass and drops the pearl in there and stirs it around. And he picks this book up that he'd been looking at and looks at it again, takes a drink out of this wine glass that he'd been stirring from, and goes very still for a few minutes. And then he snaps the book shut and sets it down on his table and kind of giggles to himself and then goes somewhere in the back of the shop that you can't see.
Son of a bitch. Do I know anything about alchemy? What would that be under? Would that be under Arcana or?
Yeah, that'd be closest to an Arcana. An Intelligence check could also work, but so Arcana, same thing.
My bonus would be the same, +0
Yeah.
in either case. All right, let's give it a shot there. Just to see. Okay. 16.
You recognize that as being components to some sort of spell. You're not sure exactly what, because you haven't spent a ton of time around wizards, but you seem to
Right.
remember the court wizard for your lord having a shelf that had specifically a wine glass, a stack of feathers, and a little, like, saucer with a handful of pearls in them.
So this is obviously some sort of spell, but heaven knows what it's for.
Right.
Okay. Great. Well, how late is it?
By the time you've arranged all this, you watch him slowly get drunk in the front of his stall and then disappear into the back of it. It's about sundown. You've got about 2 more hours until the moon comes up.
Oh boy.
The kid's done doing his very little stable work. Obviously, no travelers through today. And you watch as he walks from the back of the inn, through the high grass that's uncut by scythes, through the back of the inn to the back of the apothecary shop, and as he quietly opens a window and slips inside.
Alright. Would have been helpful if I'd gotten his name, but then again, if this is going to go the way that I think it's going to, maybe it's better if I didn't.
He had told you his name is Jack.
Oh, right. Yes, he did.
Yeah. And a few minutes go by, and right at the point where you're starting to be like, should I go in there and check on him? He shambles back out of the window with some greens clutched in one hand and the book that the man was reading in the other. He shuts the window behind him, comes jogging over to you, and he's got a sack across his back. He hands it to you and he goes, okay, I'm ready. Let's go.
That's some initiative there, kid. Okay,
You said.
Uh,
Do we steal the horse too? Where's your horse? Should knights have horses?
Yeah, typically, but just broke a leg jumping a log.
Oh.
Yeah, you know how it goes. Okay. First things first. What are the greens?
They are recognizably wolfsbane.
Oh,
He grabbed the right thing for you.
Oh,
I
thank
kind of jumped fast because I'm a little hyped up on caffeine at the moment, but
Yeah.
I kind of railroaded that. Yeah, you told him what you were looking for, and yeah, he
Thank
grabbed
goodness. Thank goodness. Okay. Now, what is the book?
it. The book just so happens to be a couple of ingredients or a couple of recipes for alchemical mixes, and one of them is for a wolfsbane potion. It's the last one in the book. And not only does it need wolfsbane, it needs to be brewed with powdered silver, and it needs to be brewed on the new moon.
Oh, hell.
You do notice that there are notes saying that consuming Wolvesbane by itself without the proper preparation steps with all the other stuff is fatal.
Charming.
Jack can see the disappointment on your face. He's like, "What's wrong? Are we still going?"
Absolutely. Sorry, I just read on here that apparently the itching doesn't stop for another 3 days.
That sucks, but it will stop, right?
Oh yeah, almost certainly.
Make a deception check for me.
All right, deception.
Yes, please.
Okay, come on.
Your heart starts pounding.
Oh God. 7. I'm not being very convincing, I don't think.
Jack just looks at you and he's like, "Well, we already did this. Come on, let's go." And so he runs over to the innkeep, grabs the horse, saddles it up, and brings it to you.
Man, you're going to be a great squire, you know that? All right, start loading my gear onto the horse. Get everything on board, and where are we? We're someplace that's not in the open, right?
Right, correct. At the moment, you're pretty much on the outskirts of this hamlet. You had started in Asendale. You're in a little place called Doranbrack, and Doranbrack is kind of on the edge of swamps and fields.
Okay. I was mostly just wondering where we were in town. I mean, if there's, anybody looking at us.
No. He pretty much, he had set up to meet you outside of where everybody is. Like, you'd seen him climb out of that guy's window, and you pretty much turned around and walked away. So it wasn't too obvious that you'd meet, right there, right after. And okay. He kind of followed you out of town a little ways. So you're not too far out of town.
All right.
But most of the villagers are in their huts, and they're eating dinner, and they're turning down for the night. So it's already it's empty.
Okay. Okay, so it's obviously getting time that we've got to get out of here.
Yep.
All right. Okay. So I'm getting toward the horse. I put my foot in the stirrup. Then I stop because I'm like, oh, wait, yes, there's one other thing.
He just looks at you with concern.
Yeah, sorry, there's a whole thing about a knight taking on a squire. There's a whole ceremony that goes along with this. Okay?
Oh, okay.
And I figure, we might as well just get it out of the way and make it official, right?
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
Looks all perked up, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed.
All right, so I'm going to make a great show of pulling my sword and holding it before me, and with as much regality as I can muster, kneel, young sir.
He does.
And I'm going to try to knock him the fuck out.
I love it. All right, roll with advantage to hit.
Okay.
I really didn't see that coming. I love it.
Really?
Yeah, I should have.
I'm trying to save this kid's life.
Yeah, beautiful.
Okay, 15 plus 5. That's a 20.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Roll damage just like you would with your longsword, but you're just like clocking him upside the head with the flat of the blade.
I am going straight for
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank God I'm not gonna beat him too badly. 1 plus another 3, so 4 damage bludgeoning.
More than enough to take out the peasant stable boy, who goes down like he goes unconscious like a sack of potatoes. Just he's going to have a nasty headache in the morning. And you have a horse.
I am very sorry about this, by the way. Can I give him a few coins for his trouble? Because
sure.
I'm pretty sure he's not going to be able to go home. after
Yeah.
this one.
How much would you like to leave him?
Let's say 5 gold coins.
Nice. That's
I
hefty.
mean,
That's easily a couple months worth of wages for him.
good.
He
So
might be a little
I mean, I
sad, but
mean,
at least he's rich now.
I mean, yes. There you go. Look, kid, I am really sorry about this, but it's going to save your life.
So you get on the horse and you take off. And sure enough, after about 45 minutes, you and the horse tumble off the side of the road in a death roll, and it's dead before either of you stop moving.
Oh, thank goodness.
And then you just
I'm also very sorry about this, but I'm not paying you, friend.
and once your belly is full, you take off again in the same direction that your horse was already running. You have realized about this time, trapped behind the mind of the wolf and watching everything play out but unable to stop it, you've realized you've been running in pretty much the same northwestward direction for 2 months when you don't have control over yourself. And even when you do, you kind of have been drifting that way. 6 months pass. You've bitten 3 humanoids in that time.
Oh, son of a bitch.
You're in the woods somewhere outside of Saren's Gate. You're actually not too sure exactly where.
Bitten or killed?
Yes.
Son of a bitch.
You've made a lot of progress. You know you killed 1. You're not sure about the other 2. You've made a lot of progress as far as distance is concerned, and you've kind of lost yourself in Saren's Wood. You've never been in woods like this before. It's incredibly dense, and it's huge. Like, for reference, in real life terms, the woods themselves are about the size of Texas.
Mm.
And you know you're somewhere close to Saren's Gate, but you're not sure how close, and you haven't seen hide nor hair of an apple tree yet, which you know is
grows around Saren's Gate.
Yeah, which you know is close. So you're searching for apples. You've been trying to follow your nose, and you have found that even when you are not shifted, your senses are heightened. You have advantage on all... Sorry, I got hiccups. You'll have advantage on all perception checks forever that involve scent or hearing. And that's kind of what you've been doing lately, is following the smell of food, because you're kind of hungry. You've lost probably about 10 pounds, a little bit malnourished for your normal nightly self. And your time in towns has always been incredibly brief. Always.
It would have to be.
You've had one small stroke of what you consider to be luck. While you haven't been able to get together the components to make a Wolfsbane potion to keep your mind, you've heard rumors of an artifact called the Crown of Iron Will. And it is somewhere here in Saren's Woods. But you don't know where. Nobody does. Nobody's been able to pinpoint it. They just said somewhere in ruins in Saren's Wood.
This is Elven territory, isn't it?
Correct. Though all borders are open, people can come and go as they please. But yes, this is indeed part of the Elven Kingdom at this point.
I do believe once I am not going to use the word feed. Once I make myself presentable, I am going to have to present myself to somebody with some knowledge of this area, and given that elves are very old, this may be who I will need to talk to. The elves have a nobility that I know of.
Yes, as a matter of fact. The elves, though they don't really do baronies and anything like that, like the humans do. There's literally just their king. They have a council of people that help manage the other places. So it's a mix of monarchy and a little bit of democracy in there.
Okay.
but he, pretty much the king, the elf king, Saren, is known as one of the first elves. He was around when the world was created, and is one of the only known still living first elves. So he's roughly 1,300 years old. I think the year that I set us in now, this is 1327, but I'd have to look. And now at this end of this, now it's been 8 months since you were initially bitten. Autumn is arriving. The leaves are just beginning to turn, and the days don't get as warm as they used to. Today is blissfully your second favorite day of the month. The day right after the third night of the full moon. It's your second favorite day because it's finally over. Your first favorite's tomorrow when you actually feel normal. You wake up with a point of exhaustion.
Yeah.
Because you've been running all night. And the blood on your face and on your arms and hands is matted with what appears to be deer fur. Might be rabbit in there. But there's no signs of you having pulled down any human prey. None whatsoever this time.
Okay, well, at least I can be relieved about that. This is getting old.
You are currently in just the middle of the woods. It's just very dense around you. There's no paths or clearings anywhere nearby. Maybe you're laying where deer might bed during the day, but it's hard to tell. But you haven't seen hide nor hair of another humanoid in probably 2 weeks.
And all the better for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as you planned, for sure.
Mm-hmm. All right, so first things first. Can I listen for the sound of water?
Absolutely. Make a perception check with advantage.
Alrighty. Oh, natural 20 on that one.
Very nice. Okay, yeah. You're able to sniff out the smell of a nearby stream with ease. It's probably about 2 feet wide, 8 inches deep, but flowing very solidly.
All right. First things first, I will get this stuff off me. So, strip down and just take as good a bath as I possibly can.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah, you get cleaned up pretty easily. The water is refreshing and cool and sharp on your face. It wakes you up really nicely. And as you're doing this, you look up from your knees, and there's this weird, too circular of a little pile of rocks across the stream from you. Like somebody had to have set those rocks in a circle, and it's kind of spilling out from a rocky outcropping out of the dirt. But off to the edge of it, there's this maybe about 3 feet across circle of rocks and long grass growing out all around them and through them and stuff.
How big are the rocks?
Rocks are anywhere from the size of your fist to the size of your head, and they're just kind of a smooth white, like limestone.
Is there anything on them at all, or?
From here, you can't tell. You're about 10 feet away from them.
All right. Well, this merits some investigation. While wearing pants. So, I suppose I'll just try to get dressed first.
Okay.
Then, yeah, I suppose I'm going to go over and investigate this. I mean, if nothing else, it's probably just some elven gardening nonsense.
Okay. 1 second. Copy link. Work with me here. Learning controls on this bot, so. There we go. Okay. Anywho. As you approach the stones, it becomes readily apparent that they're encircling what looks to be the entrance to an animal den. It looks like just a hole in the ground.
Can I smell anything to glean any knowledge about this, I guess?
Yeah. Make a survival checks with scent. Survival or perception. I'll let you choose.
Uh, just one, or with advantage, or what?
With advantage. I guess it would be perception. So yeah, perception with advantage.
Well, maybe knowing what it would mean would be survival, though.
Yeah, I think I probably should have had you do survival.
Yeah, I think survival is probably.
Stream, but...
Yeah, well, maybe. Well, then again, I could just listen and oh, hey, I'm getting closer.
Yeah,
So
we'll go. You're right. We'll go with survival.
Okay. All right. Okay. 10 plus 1 for my survival check, so 11.
Okay. It smells awfully familiar. Like you should be able to place it, but not quite. The hole in the ground's it's big enough you could get in there. Just wide. I mean, it'd be a squeeze, but...
Well, nothing ventured, nothing gained. I suppose we should take a look.
All right.
I try.
Go ahead.
I try to lower myself into the hole.
Okay. You going head first or feet first?
Feet first.
All right. So you go feet first. Your hips, you have to kind of turn them sideways and tilt them funny to get through. But you squeeze through, and then you pull through your torso, and it's barely shuffle through your shoulders. And your chainmail is just all sorts of filthy from the past 8 months. And it's just even more so now. And the dirt and dust is just kind of crumbling down around you. But you slide down probably about 3 feet in a tunnel about this size when you feel your legs have a lot more room, and you pull yourself the rest of the way down with a couple of scooches. And what you find is indeed what appears to be an abandoned wolf den. Down here, it's about 5 feet high and probably 10 feet around. But there's a couple of rabbit skeletons that are torn apart and tossed over in a corner. But the thing that you note most is a door on the far side, directly in front of you. And it's got an inch and a half of cobwebs stretched over it.
No wolf made this. Let's see if I can part the cobwebs.
Okay. Yeah, you part the cobwebs, and behind it is seems to be a relatively simple, though well-preserved, wooden door with an iron ring handle.
Test it and see if it's locked.
Nope.
Sword.
Sword comes out.
Sword out for this one. And kind of creak it open. Does it pull or push?
It pulls.
Okay.
Kind of pulls a little bit of the dirt down with it as it swings into a ceiling that's just seems like it's just a little bit too low for this door. Like, definitely the earth has shifted over time. But you're able to get it open and kind of squeeze yourself through. And beyond is a well-masoned hallway that slopes gently downward and then curls to the left before you run out of light.
Yeah. How dark are we getting here?
At this point, it's incredibly dim. If you were to go past that curve, there's no light, because the way the sun is right now, it's shining down through the entrance to this animal den.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained. All right, let's pull a torch.
Okay. And I like the idea of you can hold your torch in your shield hand. It's fine. It's
okay. Thank you.
Yeah. I realized during an actual fight. I realized during an actual fight, it can be kind of difficult to hold a torch and your shield super stable. So I might say, okay, we're fighting. You might need to throw your torch down. You can't actually hold both. But if you're just walking, it's also a free action to drop anything. So.
Okay.
But yeah, you can absolutely hold your torch, keep your shield, and your sword out.
All right. I think I will have all three for the moment.
Cool. Sounds good.
Okay.
You begin to make your way in. The door stays semi-wedged open behind you, and there are some cobwebs here and there. The stone floor beneath you is very cold beneath your feet, and you walk on, and it keeps spiraling down. Make a history check for me.
Okay. Oh, I'm having a bad morning. Let's say that's gonna be a 5.
Okay. You do not recognize the stonework or anything like that, so you'll continue down, and you estimate you've gone about 300 feet when it reaches basically 300 feet walking, so not down. Maybe 50 feet down? 60?
Okay.
Something in that neighborhood.
So it's a downward incline.
Yes, oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's a downward spiral. Pretty tight spiral.
Oh, right,
well, I
right,
say
right,
pretty
right.
tight. It's like it's about, say, a 5.5 foot diameter. Or no, 5.5 foot radius, so about a 10 foot diameter. It's not super steep, and it just kind of gradually goes down. And when it reaches the landing at the bottom of this, it opens into a chamber that has, let me count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hallways branching off of it. And these hallways are about 20 foot across and circular. And you hear, ever so quietly, down the hallway to the far right, the sound of someone humming. Very distant.
Which one is that coming from?
The hallway to the right of the 5.
Let's head that way.
Okie doke. Are you moving quietly, or are you just trucking along?
Well, with the torch, I mean, they're going to be able to see the light.
True. Distinctly
So,
possible.
you know what? A knight does not sneak. So, yeah, I'm... at the very least, I could apologize for invading someone's home.
Okay. So you walk down this hallway, and it is an odd hallway. The only flat part has a few inches of maybe some dank cave water collecting in the bottom. You're not sure exactly what. You walk along, and you notice there's these strange pictoglyphs along the wall, hieroglyphs, if you will. And you see a lot of eyes. You see a lot of geometric shapes. And you see a lot of little stick figures worshipping a giant eye. Eventually, there is a large round iron door, about the same size as the hallway that you're in, to your right, and it has a huge window about 8 feet up that's perfectly round. So it's like 2 feet above your head, and it seems to have glass in it. Very nicely made glass.
Is there a design of any kind, or?
Nope. That's the thing that you notice, is it's not like stained glass or even that weird bubbly glass you would see that maybe in the halls of the house you grew up in. This is glass that seems almost flawless.
This is just plain glass.
Yep.
Somebody had some dough to throw at this.
The humming seems to be coming from behind this door.
Let's open the door.
The door doesn't appear to have any visible handles. How would you like to do that? There's like a rim around the edge. There's not bolts holding that rim to the main door itself, but if you were to imagine a industrial kind of style door, it's that same style of rim, just no bolts. Something you could get your fingers on.
So kind of like a vault door or something.
Yes. Definitely looks that way, kind of. It doesn't have any locks or anything that you can see, but There's no door handle either.
Okay. Well, no handle must mean push, maybe. So let's raise the sword hand and just give it a push.
Okay. To your surprise, it swings inward, slowly, and you feel the weight of this massive door, but without so much as a squeak. This massive circular metal door swings slowly open. And what you see as it does so, and hear more clearly now, the humming is coming from what can only be described as a spherical ball of flesh, from which 10 spokes extend. And there's little globes on the end of these spokes, and the spokes are bent forward looking at something on a long work table. And it's floating about 5 feet off the ground, humming to itself. It does not seem to have noticed the door is open, or that you are standing there.
How far away from this thing am I?
About 100 feet.
Oh, thank God.
And there are, as you kind of scan around this room without moving in, I won't make you move in.
Thank you. Thank you.
As you kind of scan around this room, you take note of a couple of things. There is an obelisk in the corner that's about 7 feet tall and made of what appears to be pure lapis lazuli, or lapis lazuli, the blue and gold flecked stone from ancient Egypt that we're also familiar with. Just solid lapis obelisk.
About how tall?
About 7 or 8 feet. And it has, as you look at it, you notice that the glittery gold flakes across the top of it seem to move, like it's the slightly wind-tossed surface of a pond, and they kind of just swirl around the surface of this thing. Next to it, on a white velvet pillow with silver trim, with a giant glass bell jar over it, is what is unmistakably what you're looking for. This thing is a wrought iron circlet that seems to be comprised entirely of claws.
No way.
As you scan a little bit more, there's all sorts of alchemical equipment, potion-making stuff. There's a black suit of armor in one corner. And as you're standing there looking at it all, you hear, "It's quite the collection, isn't it? Do you like it?" And you look, and one of the eye stalks has bent backwards and is looking at you.
I apologize for my intrusion. I couldn't help but admire.
Surprised you found your way in.
Did have some difficulty.
That's kind of how it's designed. Now, which of my toys did you come to steal?
I don't know if "sir" is necessarily the appropriate title to give you, but I assure you, I am an anointed knight, and stealing is far beneath me.
Lawful type, are you? The eye stalk bends away, and he goes back to looking at whatever he was doing. And he seems to ignore you for the time being. The flesh is a weird mottled green color.
Okay. Let's see. May I enter?
Yes. Don't touch, for your own safety.
Of course. And proceed into the room, knowing full well this is a horrible idea. I'm afraid I did not catch your name, if you have one, sir.
Sir will suffice for now.
Sir. Sir is... I'm sure your collection comes with quite a, storied, storied history to it.
Indeed. Did you come to learn about it?
Like 4 of the eye stalks turn, bend back, and look at you. And you see as the orb kind of shifts as though it's going to fully turn and look at you, but it doesn't quite. And
Did you come to learn? I would be happy to teach.
I would be honored to listen, sir.
Good, good.
all of the eye stalks bend toward you as he turns toward you. One of the eye stalks points at the door, and you see a small beam leap out of it, and the door slams shut. Boom! The whole room shakes.
Do I know what this thing is now?
You have seen drawings, heard horrible stories, and been sent to bed with nightmares about other good Sir Anointed Knights being eaten alive by beholders. And one just shut your only way out.
Oh dear. But obviously a creature of intelligence.
My, but you are an interesting one. Haven't bathed in a few months, have you?
Well, had the stream outside, but not nearly to the level of satisfaction I prefer.
I shall help.
And he points an eye stalk at you, and you feel the unmistakable feeling of stiff bristled brushes cleaning you off, though they are completely invisible and gone, as he casts prestidigitation over your form a few times and leaves you sparkling clean.
My thanks, good sir.
We don't like dirt in our food, do we? Now,
Shh.
I assume that you came here for the crown of Iron Will, little lycanthrope.
It did catch my interest.
Understandable.
Rather, yes. You of course understand my position.
Certainly. It's far too small for me. Doesn't fit. Besides, my mind is great enough already. I don't need some pitiful toy.
However did you acquire it, if I may ask?
I bought it from the Elf King.
From Saren himself?
Indeed.
My.
He's well traveled.
I can't say I've ever met him. Could you tell me what he was like?
Unlike any other elf you have ever seen.
And his eyes kind of look around. As he turns and looks at you, of course, the one big great eye has this just brilliant clover green iris. It's actually very pretty if it weren't over a mouthful
Attached to a
of...
horrible...
Yeah, if it weren't attached to a horrible beholder. A mouthful of double-rowed, double-pointed shark's teeth. And when he speaks, you can feel the vibrations of his voice, like, moving your tendons and bones. There's so much just kind of reverberation from it. Yeah.
You see, I rather like it in here. It's dark. It's quiet. And aside from the wolves' den that you just crawled into, relatively secure. I'll have to have something done about that.
Indeed. May I suggest a few locks on the doors? I mean, I really must apologize for barging in like this.
Your apologies are accepted.
Thank you, sir.
Bob, go lock the door.
And he turns, and the black suit of armor that's got, again, like years of cobwebs over it, lurches to life and walks over to the door that it had just slammed and phases through it.
And I've just, locked my escape route now.
No.
Oh, I suppose you probably didn't say that.
Yeah, that's out of character. That's out of character.
I do like the idea of beholders having the uncanny ability to break the fourth wall, but we're not doing that right now. Yeah.
Okay.
He says,
I'll make you a deal. If you can bring me a keg of the finest cider they make in Saren's Gate, I will give you the crown. Understand, that is not all that I ask, and I will not give it to you yet. So you have,
one of the eye stalks swivels over to a lunar calendar,
approximately 27 days to acquire this for me. You can consider it your first form of payment, and upon the receipt, I will give you the crown and further instructions. What do you say, Sir Bremen Meade?
I say that you have me at something of a disadvantage, but...
I rather don't like the taste of lycanthropes anyway. They unsettle my stomach. And should you prove useful enough, perhaps you can help me with a lycanthrope problem I've been having lately. That'll be all for now.
one of the eye stalk points at you, and you feel... how to describe this? You remember as a child roping cattle.
Oh, yes.
You feel like you've just had a lasso tossed around your stomach, around your waist. It went taut and then pulled you underground as you disappear from existence in this room and reappear on top of this rock outcropping, the entrance to the wolf's den below you.
Oh, I should have asked for directions.
Make a perception check with advantage.
Oh, thank you.
Actually, this will be survival, not perception.
Still advantage or no?
Yes, because, yeah, it'll still be relying on your scent.
Okay. Much kinder this time. 15 roll plus 1 is a 16.
Excellent. You catch the faintest whiff of apple on the air to your southwest.
Well, bargain struck, and a man keeps his word. A keg of cider. Not a bad deal at all. Let's start heading southwest.
Meanwhile, though you do not know this is occurring,
Just
a fun little thing for everyone. Back down in his fun little laboratory, the beholder floats back over to what he was working on. And he picks up what looks to be perhaps a masquerade mask. And by pick up, I mean he uses telekinesis from one of his eye stalks. It floats in front of him. This mask looks like marble. Very, very fine marble with emerald green streaks of minerals through it. I'm not sure exactly what causes the stripes in marble, but you know. It's
minerals,
white with
yeah.
green, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's carved into the likeness of just the most featureless and stoic face you've ever seen. It has a nose, it has eyes, it has a mouth. But it's not male, it's not female. It's definitely androgynous. It's definitely emotionless. And he says,
Little missing child. It's time to let you back out in the world to play again. Go on then. Have fun.
and the mask disappears. And that is where we're going to stop for tonight.